Welcome to Kinda Keto. Today is a little cold day outside, perfect day to stay home and make a big pot of one of my kitchen cooking staples, my own chicken stock. On my channel, I like to do, like today, some cooking videos, but I also do budgeting tips, cooking tips. I do some restaurant reviews and things like that, and some encouragement for you out there trying to do some keto or low carb lifestyle like I'm doing. So come see how easy it is and kind of fun to do. Now there are some differences between chicken broth, chicken stock, and chicken bone broth. I'm going to be making chicken stock. Chicken broth is really still can add some vegetables, but it's mostly cooking the chicken itself. I like doing the stock, which is using all my leftover stuff. So I've got all my leftover bones, and you put a whole bunch of veggies in there and some water, and in several hours, it turns into a beautiful chicken stock. Now, while a stock will have maybe some collagen in there, from the bones, it is not considered a bone broth. A bone broth actually cooks for about 48 hours. There are many uses for chicken stock. And as a matter of fact, I pulled out from one of my cookbooks. I even typed up a whole bunch of recipes that I use. It's this whole top half. There's all the recipes that I use chicken stock for. But the big amounts you're going to use it for are soups and stews. You can use it for gravy. Look at my Thanksgiving video, and I made a keto gravy, and you needed, I think, 2 cups of stock for that. So that came in handy. And it is budget friendly because what I use is all leftover stuff most of the time. So I make enough for maybe 2 boxes you find in the store. A box is usually 32 ounces. So I make enough for about 2 boxes. And in a box in a store, it can range anywhere from $3 to $7, depending if it's organic or not. So it's not a ton of savings, but it's still a savings. If you like these type of videos, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. All right, dinner tonight is just going to be a nice, this is what I consider fast food. One of those rotisserie chickens you pick up at your grocery store, or I think they also have it at Costco and Sam's Club and all that. So this is, Ingles is our store, and I'm going to break it down. And while I'm cutting it up for dinner, I'm going to save certain parts for my stock. When I'm ready to make that, I'll have all my stuff in a bag. So when I'm getting ready for this, I get my chicken ready. I got my platter for dinner. The container that the chicken came in, I'm going to use for like garbagey, gnarly parts. And then I have a bag ready that I'm going to put the good parts, like the bones and all that kind of stuff, well, bones, into the bag that's going to go in the freezer for later. Now, I don't know if you already know how to carve up chicken, but I am going to start off with getting the leg and thigh off. And just kind of cut it right at its joint. And these are 2 pieces, not 1 piece. So it's cut in between. Now you got a leg and a thigh. That's 2 different pieces there. And I always get my wing. Don't need that little end piece, so that's a garbage piece. And that's going to be a piece. And then for our breast, you find the spine. Cut down the spine. And for some reason I can do this with chicken, but good God, I have the hardest time with turkey. Oh, well, I was going to cut up this way, but it came right off. So we're going to cut that up. Sure I'm in frame here. Okay, see garbagey stuff? That's going in the garbage pile. Okay, bone going in the bag. That's going to be for stock. And then cut your breast pieces. Get it nice and pretty on your plate there. And we can do the same thing on the other side. All right, then when you've got all your big chunks of meat off to the side for your dinner, you just kind of take an extra second or 2 and peel off, kind of clean your chicken. And anything that's still good meat, we'll just go ahead and throw on there. Bone goes into the bag. A couple good pieces there. That's kind of gnarly. That goes in the garbage. Okay. We miss having our dog here. We didn't give her a lot of people food, but whenever I carved up a chicken, she was always there, and I always gave her some in her bowl, not from our plate, but in her bowl. And she always waited nice and patiently. All right, so you got some big piece of bone here. That's definitely going in the bag. And you kind of got your carcass here. Now, I don't want this mushy. That's the one thing with supermarket chickens. You get this mushy skin on the bottom. When you cook your own, it's crispy, all nice and fresh. But that part isn't really good skin, so I'm getting rid of that. That's gnarly to me. But there's a couple good pieces of meat right on the back here. So you don't want to throw that away. Let's see. That's the gnarly part. These two little chunks right here in the back. Those are good pieces of meat. Okay, those are good. You like a little dark meat every once in a while. I'm sick of breast meat all the time. That's why I like a whole chicken. And that's how I carve up my chicken and get my bones together for my stock. Okay, this is all I use to make our own little chicken stock. I do prefer to use some filtered water or some, nice, fresh, clean water, depending on where you live. North Carolina, our water is really good, but I still use a little Brita, and I'm going to start off with about 4 cups of that. I got some bay leaf, some whole peppercorns, some thyme, fresh if you've got it, and parsley, again, fresh if you've got it. Dried is just fine. I use dried pretty much all the time. And a whole bunch of garlic, and just a crap load of pieces of vegetables. I got, my celery, carrots, onion pieces. You could even do mushrooms. And then, you get some rotisserie chicken from the store. And I put all that in the freezer till I'm ready to make my stock, like today. And I'll show you how I'm going to do it. In the morning when I get up, I just take them out of the freezer and just go ahead and put them in the pot. I don't even defrost them the night before. It just takes a little longer for the water to come up to a boil, but throw that all in. So this one's just pretty much chock full. So I got a big, really good, what's actually called a stock pot for such a thing. But you can use a regular soup pot as well. I think this is probably for two rotisserie chickens in here. And so I just kind of want to break it up a little bit. I'm just going to pour the water over and do the spices. I wound up with probably about 10 cups of water because I did, like I said, pretty much a double batch. You want to make sure you cover all your bones. So you just want to have water just enough to cover the bones so everything can leach out. So considering this is a pretty big batch, I'm going to pretty much double everything I normally put in. So as far as our dried stuff, maybe about 2 teaspoons of the parsley, and about 2 teaspoons of thyme. It says 6 peppercorns per batch. This is a double batch, but I just pour out a bunch and just throw it in. I hardly ever measure it. And then we're going to do some fresh bay leaves. You always wonder what bay leaves were for. So let's do 1, 2, let's do 3 of those. And 4, 5, 6 garlic, whatever you got. And you just give it a good old stir. Mix it all up. I guess I make sure you have enough water covering your bones and all. You're going to put it on high. You want it to boil, and then you're going to reduce your heat. So we just got to wait for that to boil, and considering I started with some frozen stuff, it might just take a few minutes, but just watch that part. All right, we got it going, nice boil. So just brought it to a boil. It only took a couple minutes, even with it being frozen. Got everything all in there. Oh, it smells so good. And then we're just gonna lower it. And just right on low. I'm just gonna let it go for 6 to 8 hours. And this is so great to do on a nice cold winter's day. You know, you're just going to be hanging out at home anyway, and you let it go 6 to 8 hours. You stir it up every once in a while, and you go clean the house. You go watch a movie, and just relax. Me, I'm going to sew. You could also do this in the crock pot if you like. If you want to do it the night before, you're just going to same thing, about 8 to 10 hours in the crock pot. I prefer doing it on the stock pot, on the stove there, because I like being able to mix it up every once in a while, and I smell it more in the house and all. But, either way, you can do whatever is easier for you. Okay, the longer the better. 6 to 8 hours is good, so I'm just about at 8 hours. And then the last thing you got to do is just strain everything. And after the first pass and getting most of the stuff out of there, then I line my strainer with some cheesecloth. So this is cheesecloth, found at Walmart, craft stores, anything like that. And it's perfect for this. I mean, it's good for crafts too, but mostly I use it for my chicken stock. And it's not very expensive. So I just I just kind of fold it in half to get a little more, and I'll pass it through again. And then I like to do that just a couple times just to make it nice and clear. And this is my last pass. So you see, it's not too much stuff left there. And just make sure I get all the juice out. If you need to squeeze that last cheesecloth. Then you have this beautiful, rich chicken stock. And then when it cools off, I divvy them up into containers. I measure it out in my little measuring cup. And I like to have varying sizes, so depending on what you need. So I've got 2 cups, I've got a 1.5 cups, and I mark them so when they're in the freezer, I'll know which one to grab, and sometimes you just need a little bit. So here's 3/4 cup, and that's the last bit that I have. You don't want it all the way to the top. I don't quite have a mid-size there, but that'll work fine. So these are great freezer-proof containers, but I will keep them in the refrigerator overnight in case there's a little fat that rises to the top, and I'll scoop that off tomorrow. As you see how easy that was to make chicken stock, you can also do vegetable stock or even a seafood stock. If you've got a bunch of lobster shells or tails or shrimp shells, crab legs, all that kind of stuff that you would normally throw away, put that in a bag and keep it in the freezer, and that only takes, I haven't done it in a while, but that only takes maybe a half hour, hour tops. You can make it completely organic if you use, obviously, an organic chicken, because you'll need the chicken bones would be organic, and it's celery, onions, and carrots. So if you get all those organic, you now have an organic chicken stock. Leave me a comment down below and let me know if you like this video, or if have you ever made stock yourself? Do you have any other tips that I don't know about? I've been doing this for years, but I'm always willing to try something new or make it better. Or what do you use chicken stock for? Give me some recipe ideas too. I love to expand my horizons. Until next time, keep warm, and I'll see you then.